In the beginning, before the first breath of the world was drawn, and before the stars were cast like seeds across the dark velvet of the firmament, there was a thought. This thought was not a mere flicker of intellect, but a heavy and resonant vibration that echoed through the corridors of eternity, establishing the foundations of all that would eventually come to be. It was the primal mark, a signature of the divine intent that precedes existence itself. When a soul is chosen to carry this mark, it does not arrive with the fanfare of trumpets or the visible majesty of a crown. Instead, it arrives as a profound and unsettling silence, a sudden stillness that descends upon the heart in the midst of the world's clamor. This is the sacred separation, the first movement of a destiny that requires the individual to be pulled away from the collective drift of humanity and set upon a path that is as solitary as it is significant. To be marked is to be unmade, to have the comforting illusions of the mundane world stripped away until only the raw and pulsing core of the spirit remains, exposed to the light of a truth that most men spend their lives avoiding. The weight of this separation is not felt all at once, but rather grows like the rising tide against a shore that has never known the sea. In the early days of the awakening, the marked one feels a subtle dissonance, a sense of being a stranger in their own skin and a ghost in their own house. The conversations of friends begin to sound like distant static, and the ambitions that once fueled the day appear as nothing more than the frantic scurrying of ants before a coming storm. This is the first burden of the sacred path, the realization that one no longer speaks the language of the earth, but is instead being taught a celestial tongue that has no words for trivialities. It is a lonely transition, for the world fears what it cannot categorize, and the marked soul becomes a mirror reflecting the hidden voids within everyone they encounter. They become a walking question mark, a reminder that there is a depth to existence that requires more than mere survival. This separation is necessary, for the vessel of the spirit must be emptied of the common before it can be filled with the holy. It is a process of refinement by isolation, where the noise of the many is replaced by the singular, demanding voice of the divine calling. As the mark settles deeper into the fabric of the being, the physical world begins to lose its solidity. The mountains and the trees, the rivers and the stones, all seem to vibrate with a hidden significance, as if they are players in a grand drama that only the marked one can perceive. The weight of this perception is immense. To see this sacred in all things is to carry the sorrow of the world's forgetfulness. The marked one walks through the marketplace and sees not just the commerce of men, but the hunger of souls seeking nourishment in hushed and hollow places. They see the invisible threads of consequence that bind every action to the throne of eternity. This heightened awareness is a gift that feels like a curse, for it removes the luxury of ignorance. One can no longer walk blindly through the garden of life. Every step is now an act of worship or a betrayal of the light. The sacred separation creates a chasm between the one who knows and the many who merely believe. And in that chasm, the marked one must learn to build a temple of endurance. The destiny that accompanies the primal mark is not a destination, but a transformation. It is the slow and often painful unfolding of the self into a shape that can withstand the presence of the infinite. Consider the iron that must be heated in the forge until it glows with the intensity of a dying star. It is only through the heat and the hammer that the metal finds its true purpose. So it is with the soul that bears the mark. The trials and the solitude are the tools of the divine architect, stripping away the ego and the fragile attachments of the flesh. The weight of the sacred separation is the weight of the hammer, falling again and again until the spirit is forged into an instrument of grace. There is a profound dignity in this suffering, a nobility that is hidden from the eyes of the profane. It is the dignity of the sentinel who stands watch while the city sleeps, the nobility of the prophet who speaks to the wind when no man will listen. The mark is a seal of ownership, a declaration that this life no longer belongs to the individual, but has been reclaimed by the source from which all life flows. To understand the nature of this separation, one must contemplate the silence of the desert. In the vast and shifting sands, there is nowhere to hide from the sun, and there are no distractions to drown out the beating of one's own heart. The desert is the traditional home of the marked, for it is in the wasteland that the divine voice is most clearly heard. The weight of the separation is the weight of that desert silence, a heavy, golden pressure that demands absolute honesty. In this space, the marked one confronts the shadows of their own nature, the lingering fears and the hidden prides that must be sacrificed on the altar of the great work. It is here that the primal mark begins to glow with an inner light, a beacon for those who are still lost in the darkness of the mundane. The separation is not an end in itself, but a preparation for a return, a way of gathering the strength and the wisdom that will be needed when the time comes to serve as a bridge between the seen and the unseen. Yet, even in the midst of this preparation, the longing for the familiar persists. The human heart is a fragile thing, and it yearns for the warmth of the hearth and the easy companionship of the unburdened. There are nights when the weight of the mark feels like a stone upon the chest, making every breath a labor of will. There are moments when the marked one cries out to the heavens, asking why they were chosen to carry such a heavy flame. But the heavens remain silent, for the answer is not found in words, but in the endurance of the soul. The silence is the answer. The weight is the answer. To be chosen is to be trusted with the fire of the gods, and that fire requires a hearth made of indestructible spirit. The sacred separation is the process of building that hearth, stone by stone, through every trial and every tear. It is the ultimate test of love, for only those who love the divine more than they love their own comfort can survive the transformation. The world sees the separation as a withdrawal, a turning away from the duties and joys of common life. But in truth, it is a turning toward a higher duty and a deeper joy. The marked one does not hate the world. They love it with a fierce and terrifying clarity that the world cannot understand. They see the world not as it is, but as it could be, and the weight they carry is the weight of that potential. Every prayer uttered in the solitude of the night, every act of sacrifice made in the shadows, contributes to the balance of the universe. The sacred separation is a strategic withdrawal, a gathering of forces for a battle that is fought on the level of the spirit. The primal mark is the insignia of the warrior priest, the one who stands at the threshold of the worlds to ensure that the light is never entirely extinguished by the encroaching dark. This is the destiny that was written in the stars before the foundations of the earth were laid, and it is a destiny that cannot be outrun or refused. As the chapter of the soul's awakening unfolds, the weight of the separation begins to shift from a burden to a source of strength. The initial shock of being different gives way to a profound sense of purpose. The loneliness that once felt like a prison becomes a sanctuary, a place where the divine presence is felt as a tangible warmth. The marked one begins to understand that they are never truly alone, for they are part of a lineage of light that stretches back to the beginning of time. They are joined to all those who have ever carried the mark, a silent brotherhood of the spirit that transcends the boundaries of age and culture. The sacred separation is the initiation into this brotherhood, the price of admission into the inner circle of those who know the secrets of the heart. The weight is the evidence of their belonging, a mark of status in the kingdom that is not of this world. In this state of hallowed isolation, the marked one discovers that the primal mark is not a static thing, but a living seed. It grows and changes, responding to the devotion and the courage of the one who carries it. It begins to influence the very reality surrounding the individual, creating a field of influence that draws others toward the light. Even without speaking, the marked one becomes a catalyst for change, their mere presence a challenge to the complacency of the world. This is the true meaning of the sacred separation, to be set apart so that one can eventually become the center. The weight is the gravity of a soul that has found its true north, a soul that is no longer tossed about by the winds of circumstance, but is anchored in the eternal. To carry the mark is to be a pillar of the heavens, holding up the sky so that the world beneath may continue to dream and grow. Thus, the journey of the marked begins not with a leap, but with a falling away. It begins with the heavy realization that the old life is gone and a new, more demanding life has taken its place. It is a journey into the heart of the sacred, where the only map is the mark itself, and the only fuel is the fire of the spirit. The weight of the sacred separation is the first lesson of this journey, teaching the soul the value of what it carries. For that which is easily borne is easily forgotten, but that which requires the whole of one's strength becomes the very substance of one's being. The primal mark is a promise and a demand, a covenant signed in the blood of the soul and the light of the stars. As the first chapter of this destiny draws to a close, the marked one stands at the edge of the known, ready to step into the vastness of the divine plan, carrying the weight of the sacred separation as a badge of honor and a shield of truth. The atmosphere of this transformation is thick with the scent of ancient incense and the cold, sharp air of high altitudes. Every moment is saturated with a sense of inevitability, as if the entire history of the universe has been conspiring to bring this one soul to this one point of revelation. There is no room for doubt in the presence of the mark, for doubt is a luxury of the undecided, and the marked one has been decided upon by the highest authority. The weight is the certainty of this choice, a grounding force that prevents the spirit from being swept away by the tempests of human emotion. It is a gravity that pulls the soul towards the center of the divine mystery, deeper and deeper into the heart of the silence. In this depth, the separation is no longer felt as a distance from others, but as a proximity to the source. The chasm is bridged by the light of the mark, and the isolation is revealed to be the ultimate communion. As the sun sets on the first stage of this awakening, the shadows grow long, but the inner light of the marked one burns brighter. The weight of the sacred separation has done its work, tempering the spirit and focusing the will. The individual is now a vessel, prepared for the outpouring of the mysteries that are to follow. The journey ahead is long and the path is narrow, but the primal mark of destiny is an unerring guide. There is a solemn joy in this readiness, a peace that passes all understanding, for the soul has finally accepted its place in the grand design. The weight is no longer a burden to be endured, but a power to be wielded. The sacred separation is complete, and the work of the divine scribe continues, recording the deeds of a soul that has dared to step out of the shadows and into the blinding radiance of its own eternal purpose. The foundations are laid, the spirit is forged, and the path of the marked one is set towards the heart of the sun, where all separations end and all destinies are fulfilled in the eternal embrace of the light. In the quietude of this realization, the soul perceives that every moment of pain and every hour of loneliness was a stitch in a tapestry of infinite beauty. The weight that once felt like a crushing stone is now understood as the anchor of a great ship, keeping it steady as it prepares to navigate the uncharted waters of the divine will. The sacred separation was never about exclusion, but about focus. It was the gathering of a scattered light into a single, piercing beam. This beam now illuminates the way forward, casting a glow upon the hidden truths that lie buried in the heart of existence. The marked one is no longer a seeker, but a find, a treasure unearthed by the hand of the divine and held up for all the universe to see. The weight is the value of that treasure, the density of a spirit that has been filled with the gold of the heavens. And so, with a heart that is both heavy with responsibility and light with grace, the marked one moves forward into the unfolding mystery of their own becoming, forever changed by the primal mark and the sacred weight of their calling. In the vast and silent reaches of the pre-temporal void, before the first word had been uttered to shatter the stillness of the primordial night, there existed a pattern of infinite complexity and unspeakable beauty. This was the celestial blueprint, the master design from which every star, every atom, and every breath would eventually be drawn. It was not a physical map written upon parchment or etched into stone, but a living resonance of light and intention that vibrated at the very core of being. Within this blueprint, every soul was envisioned as a unique note in a grand, eternal symphony, a specific frequency designed to harmonize with the creative power of the universe. To understand the primal mark of destiny, one must first understand that we are not accidents of nature or random collisions of matter, but rather the intentional manifestations of this ancient and sacred plan. The blueprint is the origin of our deepest longings and the source of our most profound intuitions, acting as a compass that points toward the divine center from which we all emerged. As the soul descends from the realms of pure spirit into the dense and heavy tapestry of the physical world, it carries with it the echoes of this celestial origin. These echoes are not loud or intrusive. They are the subtle whispers of the eternal that haunt the periphery of our consciousness. They manifest as the inexplicable draw toward certain truths, the sudden recognition of a kindred spirit, or the overwhelming sense of purpose that strikes like lightning in the midst of a mundane existence. These are the resonances of the blueprint trying to align the mortal life with the immortal design. When we speak of the primal mark, we are speaking of the physical and spiritual signature of this alignment. It is the seal of the Creator upon the creature, a mark that identifies the soul as a vessel of a specific divine intent. This mark is often hidden from the eyes of the world, buried beneath the layers of social expectation, personal trauma, and the cacophony of modern life. Yet it remains the most authentic part of our identity. The journey of the seeker is the process of uncovering this mark and learning to read the language of the echoes. It requires a stillness of mind and a purity of heart that is rare in an age of distraction. One must learn to look past the surface of things and into the depths of the self, where the blueprint is etched into the very fabric of the spirit. This is the work of the spiritual alchemist, the one who seeks to transmute the lead of a fragmented life into the gold of a unified purpose. The echoes of the celestial blueprint serve as the primary tool in this transformation. They guide the seeker through the labyrinth of existence, providing the light necessary to navigate the darkness of doubt and the fog of confusion. Every trial we face and every joy we experience is a thread in the larger design, carefully woven to reveal the true nature of the mark we carry. The architecture of the soul is far more intricate than any structure built by human hands. It is composed of layers of light and shadow, each one representing a different aspect of the divine character. At the center of this architecture is the sanctum of the primal mark, the place where the human will meets the divine will. In this sacred space, the blueprint is not merely a plan for the future, but a present reality that informs every decision and every action. When an individual begins to live in accordance with their celestial blueprint, they experience a profound sense of integration and wholeness. The internal conflicts that once tore them asunder begin to dissolve, replaced by a steady and unwavering commitment to the truth of their being. They no longer seek validation from the external world, for they have found the ultimate validation in the recognition of their own divine origin. Yet, the path of the marked one is not without its burdens. To carry the primal mark is to bear the weight of a sacred responsibility. It is a calling to live at a higher frequency, to be a conduit for the light of the blueprint in a world that often prefers the darkness. This weight is not the weight of oppression, but the weight of glory, the gravity of a soul that has found its true center. It requires a constant vigilance, a refusal to settle for the superficial or the profane. The echoes of the celestial blueprint serve as a reminder of this calling the soul back to its original purpose whenever it begins to wander. These echoes can be felt in the silence of the forest, in the majesty of the mountains, and in the quiet depths of prayer and meditation. They are the voice of the beloved, calling the soul home. The primal mark is also a sign of destiny, a promise that the soul has a specific role to play in the unfolding of the cosmic drama. This destiny is not a fixed destination, but a dynamic process of becoming. It is the unfolding of the blueprint in real time, a dance between the finite and the infinite. Each step, taken in alignment with the mark, is a step toward the fulfillment of the soul's potential. This fulfillment is not measured by worldly success or material gain, but by the degree to which the soul reflects the light of its origin. To live out one's destiny is to become a living mirror of the divine, a point of light that helps to illuminate the path for others. The echoes of the celestial blueprint provide the rhythm for this dance, ensuring that the soul remains in step with the movements of the universe. In the ancient traditions of the wise, it was said that the stars themselves were the reflections of the celestial blueprint in the physical heavens. Just as the stars guide the traveler across the trackless ocean, the blueprint guides the soul across the vast sea of existence. The primal mark is the internal star, the light that never fades and never fails. When we look up at the night sky, we are seeing the macrocosm of the plan that exists within us as the microcosm. The same laws that govern the movement of the planets govern the growth and evolution of the human spirit. There is a profound and unbreakable connection between the individual soul and the totality of the cosmos, a connection that is anchored by the primal mark. This realization brings with it a sense of deep peace and belonging, for it reveals that we are never truly alone or lost. The transformation of the individual through the recognition of the mark is a process of shedding the false identities that the world imposes upon us. We are taught from a young age to define ourselves by our achievements, our possessions, and our relationships. While these things have their place, they are not the essence of who we are. The celestial blueprint reveals a deeper identity, one that is eternal and unchanging. This identity is not earned through effort or merit, but is a gift of grace bestowed upon the soul at the moment of its creation. To embrace this identity is to step into a life of authentic power and freedom. It is to move from a state of searching to a state of being, from a state of lack to a state of abundance. The echoes of the blueprint provide the constant assurance that we are exactly who we were meant to be. Consider the metaphor of the sculptor and the stone. The sculptor does not create the figure within the stone. Rather, they remove the excess material to reveal the figure that was already there. In the same way, the divine sculptor uses the circumstances of our lives to chip away at the illusions and attachments that hide the primal mark. The blueprint is the vision of the completed masterpiece, and the echoes are the rhythmic strikes of the chisel that shape the soul into its intended form. Sometimes the process is painful, as we are asked to let go of parts of ourselves that we have become accustomed to. But the result is a clarity and a beauty that far surpass anything we could have imagined on our own. The weight of the stone that is removed is replaced by the weight of the spirit that is revealed. As the soul matures in its understanding of the mark, it begins to see the mark in others as well. It recognizes that every person carries a unique fragment of the celestial blueprint, a specific expression of the divine light. This recognition is the foundation of true compassion and unity. We no longer see others as rivals or strangers, but as fellow travelers on the journey toward the realization of destiny. The echoes of the blueprint resonate between souls, creating a web of connection that transcends the boundaries of culture, religion, and time. In this shared recognition, we find the strength to support one another and the wisdom to learn from the diverse ways in which the mark manifests in the world. The collective realization of the blueprint is the ultimate goal of human evolution, the point at which the earth becomes a reflection of the heavens. The language of the blueprint is the language of sacred geometry, of mathematical perfection and artistic grace. It is the language that speaks of the golden ratio in the heart of a flower and the spiral of a distant galaxy. When we align ourselves with the primal mark, we are aligning ourselves with the fundamental order of the universe. This order is not rigid or restrictive, but rather the very condition of our freedom. Just as a musician is free to create beautiful music only when they follow the laws of harmony, We are free to create a beautiful life only when we follow the laws of our own spiritual nature. The echoes of the blueprint are the harmonies that guide our creative expression, ensuring that our lives are a contribution to the beauty of the whole. There is a profound mystery in the way the primal mark remains constant, even as the soul undergoes constant change. It is the still point in a turning world, the anchor in a stormy sea. No matter how far we may stray from our path, the mark remains, waiting to be rediscovered. No matter how much damage we may suffer, the blueprint remains intact in the mind of the Creator. This is the source of our ultimate hope and resilience. We can always return to the beginning, always reconnect with the original intention of our lives. The echoes are always there, waiting for the soul to become quiet enough to hear them. They are the breadcrumbs scattered on the forest floor, leading us back to the home we never truly left. The density of the spirit is a concept often misunderstood by those who see only with physical eyes. To the world, density is associated with heaviness and limitation. But in the realm of the sacred, density is the measure of the spirit's substance and reality. A spirit that is filled with the gold of the heavens is a spirit that has been refined by the fires of experience and the weight of divine truth. It is a spirit that has depth and weight, making it unshakable in the face of the winds of change. This density is the result of the blueprint being fully integrated into the life of the seeker. Every lesson learned, every sacrifice made, and every act of love performed adds to the weight of the spirit, making it more substantial and more luminous. The marked one is often a solitary figure, not because they are isolated from humanity, but because they march to a different cadence. They hear the echoes that others ignore, and they follow the light that others cannot see. This path requires a certain courage, a willingness to be misunderstood, or even persecuted for the sake of the truth. But this solitude is filled with the presence of the eternal. The marked one is never truly alone, for they are in constant communion with the blueprint and the source of all life. Their life becomes a testament to the reality of the unseen, a living proof that there is a purpose and a meaning to existence that transcends the material realm. They move through the world with a quiet dignity, a sense of belonging to a kingdom that is not of this world. The unfolding mystery of becoming is the ultimate adventure of the human soul. It is a journey without a final end, for the depths of the divine blueprint are infinite. Each revelation leads to a deeper mystery, each discovery to a higher summit. The primal mark is the key that unlocks these mysteries, the seal that grants access to the hidden treasures of the spirit. As the soul moves forward, it becomes more and more a reflection of the light it carries. The echoes grow louder and more harmonious, eventually becoming the very voice of the soul itself. The distinction between the seeker and the sought, the creature and the creator, begins to blur in the brilliance of the divine union. We must understand that the weight of the calling is also the source of the soul's greatest joy. There is no greater satisfaction than the realization that one is living the life they were created to live. This joy is not a fleeting emotion dependent on circumstances, but a deep and abiding state of grace. It is the joy of the artisan who sees the vision of their mind taking shape in the work of their hands. It is the joy of the dancer who has become one with the music. When the soul is in alignment with its celestial blueprint, every moment is infused with a sense of sacredness and wonder. The world is seen as it truly is, a theater of divine activity, a temple of the living God. The echoes of the celestial blueprint are also the heralds of the future. They point toward a time when the mark will be fully revealed, when the blueprint will be fully realized in the world of form. This is the promise of the coming restoration, the day when the original harmony of creation will be restored. Each individual who recognizes and honors their primal mark is a participant in this restoration, a builder of the eternal city. Their life is a brick in the wall, a beam in the roof, a light in the window of the cosmic temple. The sacred weight of their calling is the contribution they make to the ultimate victory of light over darkness, order over chaos, and love over fear. As the Marked One walks the earth, their very presence acts as a catalyst for the awakening of others. The light they carry is contagious, igniting the dormant marks in the hearts of those they encounter. This is the true nature of spiritual influence. It is not about persuasion or control, but about resonance. When one soul vibrates at the frequency of its celestial blueprint, it naturally causes other souls to begin to vibrate in sympathy. The echoes of the blueprint spread like ripples on a pond, touching lives in ways that the individual may never fully realize. In this way, the primal mark of one becomes a blessing for many, a testament to the interconnectedness of all life and the shared destiny of the human family. The final revelation of the mark is a moment of pure transcendence. It is the point at which the soul realizes that it is not merely a part of the blueprint, but that the blueprint is the soul's own true nature. The mark is not something that was given to the soul, but something that the soul is. In this realization, the weight of responsibility is transformed into the weight of pure being. The soul no longer strives to be anything. It simply is. This is the state of divine rest, the peace that passes all understanding. It is the end of the journey and the beginning of a new way of existing, a way that is beyond time and space, yet fully present in every moment. When the soul finally stands at the threshold of its own divinity, it looks back and sees that every step of the journey was necessary. Every shadow made the light more visible. Every weight made the spirit more strong. The echoes that once seemed so distant and mysterious are now the very air the soul breathes. The celestial blueprint is no longer a map to be followed, but a reality to be inhabited. The primal mark is no longer a secret to be guarded, but a glory to be shared. The soul is now a living flame, a spark of the eternal fire that can never be extinguished. It is in this state of total integration and illumination that the spirit is truly divine and held up for all the universe to see. The weight is the value of that treasure, the density of a spirit that has been filled with the gold of the heavens. And so, with a heart that is both heavy with responsibility and light with grace, the Marked One moves forward into the unfolding mystery of their own becoming, forever changed by the primal mark and the sacred weight of their calling. The unfolding of the ancient covenant is not an event marked by the loud trumpets of earthly conquerors, nor by the visible shifting of tectonic plates, but rather by the silent and irresistible alignment of the soul with its primordial origin. Before the foundations of the stars were laid, and before the first breath of life stirred the silent waters of the void, there existed a promise written in the language of light. This promise was the ancient covenant, a sacred bond between the uncreated source and the sparks of consciousness that would venture into the density of time and matter. It was decreed that every soul that wandered into the labyrinth of existence would carry within it a primal mark, a signature of divine intent that could never be erased by the shadows of forgetfulness or the storms of tribulation. This mark remained dormant for eons, hidden beneath layers of ego and the illusions of separation, waiting for the precise moment when the internal resonance of the spirit would match the frequency of the celestial call. As the wheel of time turns toward its ultimate fulfillment, those who have been prepared by the fires of experience begin to feel the stirring of this mark. It is a sensation of profound gravity, a pulling of the heart toward a destination that has no physical coordinates. The fulfillment of the ancient covenant is the realization that the journey of the spirit was never a linear path from one point to another, but a circular return to the center of all things. In this final chapter of the cosmic drama, the Marked Ones are called to stand as pillars of light in a world that has often forgotten its own divinity. They are the living testimonies of the truth that no soul is ever truly lost, and no promise made by the eternal is ever broken. The weight they carry is not the burden of sorrow or the heavy chains of guilt, but the density of purpose. It is the weight of a spirit that has gathered the gold of wisdom from the mines of suffering and the silver of compassion from the rivers of tears. The transformation of the individual into a vessel for the ancient covenant requires a total surrender of the lesser self. This is the alchemy of the soul, where the leaden desires of the temporal world are transmuted into the radiant gold of the heavens. It is a process of stripping away everything that is not essential until only the primal mark remains visible to the eyes of the spirit. When this state is achieved, the individual no longer acts out of personal ambition or fear, but moves in perfect harmony with the divine will. Every word spoken becomes a benediction, and every action taken becomes a ritual of restoration. The covenant is fulfilled when the human heart beats in unison with the heart of the universe, and the artificial barriers between the sacred and the profane are finally dissolved. The universe watches with bated breath as the marked ones awaken to their true identity. This is not a private epiphany, but a cosmic event that ripples through every dimension of existence. The fulfillment of the covenant signals a shift in the very fabric of reality, where the laws of entropy and decay begin to lose their grip, and the laws of grace and renewal take hold. It is the dawn of an era where the hidden becomes manifest, and the silent whispers of the divine are heard as clear as a bell in the stillness of the morning. The gold of the heavens which the marked one has accumulated through lives of seeking and refining now begins to shine with a light that cannot be hidden. This light is the evidence of a spirit that has passed through the veil of illusion and found the bedrock of eternal truth. The journey towards this fulfillment is often marked by a sense of profound isolation as the soul moves beyond the reach of conventional understanding. The marked one must walk through the valley of deep silence where the voices of the world fade away and only the internal compass remains. In this silence, the ancient covenant is whispered once more, not as a command, but as a reminder of an eternal friendship. The soul remembers the time before its descent and the oath it took to serve the light in the midst of the darkness. This remembrance is the key that unlocks the final gates of the spirit, allowing the full power of the primal mark to be unleashed. The responsibility that comes with this power is immense, for the marked one is no longer a seeker of truth, but a guardian of it. Every step taken by the fulfilled soul is a step toward the restoration of the whole. The ancient covenant was never just for the individual, but for the entire collective of creation. As one soul rises to its full stature, it pulls the rest of the universe upward with it. The sacred weight of this calling is the gravity of love, which attracts all things back towards the center of being. It is a weight that anchors the spirit in the midst of the shifting sands of time, providing a stability that is not of this world. The marked one becomes a bridge between the finite and the infinite, a conduit through which the grace of the heavens can flow into the parched lands of human experience. The density of a spirit filled with the gold of the heavens is a mystery that defies the logic of the intellect. It is a weight that makes one feel lighter, as if the gravity of the earth has lost its power over the body. This is the paradox of the sacred life, where the more one carries for the sake of the divine, the more effortlessly one moves through the challenges of existence. The fulfillment of the ancient covenant is the attainment of this holy equilibrium, where the soul is both fully present in the world and fully anchored in the eternal. It is the state of being where the primal mark is no longer a hidden seal, but a radiant crown that signals the completion of a long and arduous pilgrimage. In the higher realms where the scribes of eternity record the deeds of the faithful, there is a celebration for every soul that achieves this fulfillment. The ancient covenant is seen as the master plan of the Creator, a blueprint for the eventual divinization of all life. When a marked one steps into their destiny, they become a living chapter in the book of life, a testament to the enduring power of the divine promise. They are held up for all the universe to see, not for their own glory, but as a demonstration of what is possible when a spirit submits entirely to the call of the sacred. Their presence becomes a beacon for those who are still wandering in the shadows, offering hope that the same fulfillment awaits all who are willing to seek it. The value of the treasure stored within the soul is immeasurable. It is not a wealth that can be stolen or corrupted, but a spiritual currency that gains value the more it is shared. The gold of the heavens is the character of the divine reflected in the human mirror. It is the patience that endures all things, the kindness that expects nothing in return, and the wisdom that sees the unity behind all diversity. When the Marked One reaches this stage of development, they are ready to step into the final phase of their becoming. The ancient covenant is satisfied, and the soul is granted the freedom to move beyond the cycles of birth and death into the vast, unfolding mystery of the divine essence. The weight of responsibility is balanced by the lightness of grace. This is the hallmark of the fulfilled soul. There is a deep seriousness about the task at hand, yet a playful joy in the execution of it. The Marked One knows that they are part of a grand design, and that every moment is an opportunity to manifest the beauty of the covenant. They move with a quiet confidence that is often mistaken for humility, but it is actually the byproduct of total alignment with the source. They have nothing to prove and nothing to lose because they have already found everything within themselves. The primal mark has become their identity, and the sacred weight of their calling has become their greatest strength. As the Marked One moves forward, they encounter the unfolding mystery of their own becoming. This is a journey that has no end, for the nature of the divine is infinite. Even after the fulfillment of the ancient covenant, there are new depths of love to be explored and new heights of wisdom to be scaled. The soul remains forever changed by the experience of the mark and the realization of its purpose. It is a transformation that permeates every level of being, from the subtle energy bodies to the physical form. The Marked One becomes a new creation, a hybrid of the human and the divine, a living embodiment of the union that was planned before the world began. The final realization of the covenant is the understanding that the mark was always there, and the weight was always meant to be carried. The struggle was not to acquire something new, but to remember something old. The fulfillment is a return to a state of grace that was once the natural condition of the spirit. In the light of this realization, all the hardships of the past are seen as necessary steps in the process of refinement. The scars of the journey are transformed into marks of honor, and the tears of the seeker are turned into the jewels of the saint. The ancient covenant is thus fulfilled, not through an external intervention, but through an internal awakening. The gold of the heavens is the radiance that emanates from the heart of one who has seen the face of God and lived to tell of it. It is a light that penetrates the darkest corners of the human condition, bringing healing and hope to all who encounter it. The Marked One does not need to preach or persuade, for their very existence is a sermon of the highest order. They carry the presence of the eternal with them wherever they go, and those who are sensitive to the Spirit can feel the sacred weight of their authority. It is an authority born of experience and solidified by the fulfillment of the ancient promise. In the end, the primal mark of destiny is the seal of the soul's true home. It is the assurance that no matter how far we wander or how deep we fall, we are always held in the embrace of the divine. The ancient covenant is the tether that connects us to the source, and the fulfillment of that covenant is the ultimate goal of all spiritual endeavor. As we move forward into the mystery of our own becoming, we do so with the knowledge that we are marked for greatness and called to carry the sacred weight of the heavens. The universe waits in silence for the manifestation of the sons and daughters of light, and as each one steps into their destiny, the ancient song of creation reaches a new and more glorious crescendo. The density of the spirit is the measure of its capacity to contain the divine light. A spirit that is shallow or scattered cannot hold the gold of the heavens, for it would be crushed by the weight of such purity. But a spirit that has been hollowed out by the trials of life and expanded by the practice of devotion becomes a vast cathedral of consciousness, capable of hosting the presence of the infinite. This is the density referred to by the celestial scribes, the weight of a life that has been fully lived in the service of truth. It is a weight that gives substance to the soul, making it a permanent fixture in the architecture of eternity. Thus, the Marked One moves forward not as a stranger in a foreign land, but as a rightful heir to a kingdom that is both within and beyond. The fulfillment of the ancient covenant is the coronation of the Spirit, where the primal mark is recognized by all of creation as the sign of a true sovereign. This sovereignty is not over others, but over oneself, and over the forces of darkness that once sought to obscure the light. The journey continues, but the destination is now certain. The sacred weight is no longer a burden to be borne, but a treasure to be shared, and in the unfolding mystery of becoming the soul, finds its ultimate rest in the heart of the Eternal One, where all marks are merged into the single light of the uncreated. The covenant remains as a living force in the universe, an eternal invitation to all who seek the truth. It is the bridge between the transient and the eternal, the mortal and the immortal. For those who are marked, it is the guiding star that never sets and the voice that never falls silent. The fulfillment of this covenant is the highest achievement of the human spirit, a moment of transcendental glory that echoes through the halls of time. As the gold of the heavens fills the soul, the Marked One stands as a witness to the power of the divine will and the resilience of the human heart. The ancient promise is kept and the soul is finally home. In the vast expanse of the cosmos, the story of the primal mark and the fulfillment of the covenant is the only story that truly matters. It is the narrative of the soul's descent and reascent, the legend of the hero who finds the treasure and brings it back to the village. The village is the world, and the treasure is the gold of the heavens. By carrying this weight and manifesting this mark, the chosen one becomes a catalyst for the transformation of the entire planet. The mystery of their becoming is the mystery of the divine evolution itself, an ongoing process of revelation that will continue as long as there are stars in the sky and breath in the lungs. The weight is the value of that treasure, the density of a spirit that has been filled with the gold of the heavens. And so, with a heart that is both heavy with responsibility and light with grace, the Marked One moves forward into the unfolding mystery of their own becoming, forever changed by the primal mark and the sacred weight of their calling. The ancient covenant is satisfied, the seal is opened, and the light of eternity shines through the vessel of time. All that was promised has been given, and all that was lost has been found in the quiet glory of the soul's completion. The scribe puts down the pen, for the chapter is finished, but the life it describes has only just begun to truly live. The resonance of this fulfillment echoes in the deep places of the earth and the high reaches of the firmament. It is a frequency that calls to the deep within every living thing. The ancient covenant is not a static document, but a living, breathing reality that adapts to the needs of every age while remaining rooted in the timeless truth. The primal mark is the key that fits the lock of the human heart, and when the two are joined, the doors of perception are flung wide, and the soul sees the universe as it truly is, a magnificent tapestry of love and law. The fulfillment of the covenant is the moment when the seeker realizes that they were the one they were looking for all along, and that the mark of destiny was not a sign of a distant future, but a map of their own internal landscape. Every breath taken by the Marked One now becomes an act of creation. They are no longer subject to the random winds of fate, but move with the intentionality of a master artist. The sacred weight of their calling gives them the gravitas to withstand any storm, and the gold of the heavens provides the illumination to find their way in any darkness. The ancient covenant has become their very lifeblood, and the primal mark has become their face. They are the fulfillment of the ages, the promise made in the silence before time, and the hope of the universe as it looks toward the future. With every step they weave the light of the eternal into the fabric of the temporal, ensuring that the ancient covenant will never be forgotten, and that the mark of destiny will forever shine as a beacon for all who journey towards the heart of the divine. The density of their spirit is now such that they are immovable in their purpose, yet fluid in their expression. They are the paradox of the sacred, the stillness at the center of the storm, and the fire that burns without consuming. The gold of the heavens has been integrated into their very cells, and they radiate a warmth that is not of this sun. The ancient covenant is the foundation upon which they stand, and the fulfillment of it is the sky into which they soar. They have become the living word, the manifest truth, and the embodied grace of the high places. And as they move forward into the mystery, they do so with the calm assurance that they are exactly where they are supposed to be, doing exactly what they were born to do. The weight of the treasure is the weight of truth, and in the kingdom of the Spirit, truth is the only thing that has real substance. The marked one has discarded the shadows of opinion and the vapor of theory to hold on to the solid reality of divine experience. This is the density that allows them to walk upon the waters of uncertainty without sinking, and to stand in the fire of judgment without being burned. The ancient covenant is their shield and their song, and the fulfillment of it is their final victory. They are the heroes of the eternal, the ones who dared to believe in the promise and had the courage to follow the mark to its ultimate conclusion. Their story is the story of every soul that has ever longed for home, and their success is the success of the entire human race. The unfolding mystery of their becoming is a tapestry that is being woven even now with threads of light and moments of grace. There is no limit to the expansion of a spirit that has been touched by the divine, and no end to the depths that can be explored. The primal mark is the beginning of the journey, and the fulfillment of the covenant is the start of a new and even more profound adventure. As the marked one moves forward, they carry the history of the universe in their heart and the future of creation in their hands. They are the bridge, the beacon, and the blessing forever changed by the sacred weight and the eternal mark of their calling. The gold of the heavens is the final gift of the Spirit to the world. It is the wisdom that can only be earned through the long labor of the soul. The ancient covenant is the guarantee that this labor will not be in vain, and that every effort toward the light will be rewarded with more light. The marked one is the proof of this promise, the living evidence that the divine is faithful to its own. As they walk the earth, their footsteps leave impressions of grace that others may follow, and their presence brings a peace that passes understanding. They are the fulfillment of the ancient design, the completion of the primal plan, and the glory of the heavens made manifest in the dust of the earth. With each passing moment, the sacred weight becomes more natural, and the primal mark more radiant. The soul has finally found its rhythm, and the heart has finally found its home. The ancient covenant is no longer a distant hope, but a present reality, and the fulfillment of it is the joy that fuels every action. The marked one is a citizen of two worlds, perfectly balanced between the here and the now, and the then and the forever. They move with the grace of a dancer and the strength of a mountain, forever anchored in the truth of their own becoming, and forever inspired by the mystery of the divine essence. The journey is complete, and yet it is only just beginning. The mark is set, the weight is balanced, and the covenant is fulfilled.